an innocent witness that can identify him.
No, stop, please. Not just machine. Ow! Not disassemble. I'm alive. Can't die.
That's the damn thing!
No, please. I'm alive. No, stop. No, do not kill
me. Oh man, you monster. Just putting that at the beginning of the episode.
I'm sorry.
Making me relive.
Sorry.
Making us all relive that scene one more time than we needed to.
I'm so sorry. I feel bad doing it.
He's pleading for his life, man.
Dude, I was going to say these guys don't even deserve the villain scale, but maybe they break it because honestly, like, that's one of the most brutal deaths I've ever watched on screen, ever. In a PG movie.
Talk about ruthlessness, man.
Get out of here. This is
man.
As a kid, that's traumatizing. You can't watch this as a kid, even though I did.
If they would have beat Michael McKean like that, I wouldn't have felt as bad than as they are beating Johnny Five like that.
Well, because he could defend himself, but a robot can't. Like he didn't have the laser anymore. He's gone. He's not a killing machine. He should have had the laser. Those guys wouldn't have known what they were messing with.
I guess he's more of a fighting machine now than a killing machine. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. I'm sorry if I traumatized any of you all out there. This is episode 98. Man, 2 away from 100. Where did the time go?
We're never going to make it. I'm not going to make it.
Our website is thelastrowpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at thelastrowpod, facebook.com/thelastrowpod. Head out to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review if you're enjoying the show. Another week here, Badway. This one cuts deep. This one cuts deep.
Man. Short Circuit 2, 1998. Released on July 6, 1998. A summer blockbuster, if you will.
98?
88.
88.
78.
1968.
One of the eights. 1 hour, 50-minute runtime.
Too long.
Too long. I love this movie, but too long.
Too long. Too long.
This movie screams of 90 minutes.
This movie needed to be 90 minutes.
89 minutes this movie should have been.
What's the point where it can't get a theatrical release?
67 minutes.
1 minute longer than what requires a theatrical release. That's what this should be.
Yep. I feel like there's, I don't know, maybe it was a Jamie Kennedy movie or something like that. I can't think of it. It might be like
Son of the Mask.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Where it's like, legit, it was like 67 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, is this a real movie?
Yeah.
I guess because it's over an hour, you can call it full-length feature.
As long as it has a theatrical release, I guess. But there's got to be some level of what it requires. Otherwise, it can't even be there.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like that Carrot Top movie, like that Boardroom movie where he's like CEO or something like that, and he's freaking Carrot Top. That's a deep cut. Nobody knows. Nobody watched that.
I know.
Yeah, movie buffs. But yeah, 90 minutes out the door would have been fine. IMDb 5.8 out of 10. It's too low. It's too low. It's too low.
Too low.
Rotten Tomatoes 38%.
Too low.
Too freaking low. Metacritic 50%. Still too low. Too low. Letterboxd 2.7 out of 5. Definitely too
low. I think I gave it a 3.5. So too low, and I liked it.
And you liked it? Good.
And I liked it.
Having rescued robot Johnny 5 from being destroyed by the military in Short Circuit 1, Indian scientist Ben Jarvie moves to New York City to become an American citizen. He's becoming an American, Drew. After struggling to sell a few toy replicas of Johnny, Ben must scramble to make more when Sandy Banatoni orders 1,000 for her department store. With Johnny's help, Ben begins making the gadgets, but his plans are endangered when thief Oscar Baldwin steals Johnny.
Thief is putting it, maybe, I don't know, that actually gives him a little bit too much credit, I think.
First of all, Johnny 5 is alive, so you can't steal a person. You kidnap him.
No.
That's a kidnap.
You kidnap them.
It's kidnap.
That's true.
Second of all, that's just a major just simplification of like, the whole movie must be about Ben making his gadgets, and his plans are thwarted because they brutalized Johnny 5.
They don't want to give it away.
It's disrespectful to oversimplify this movie.
This movie is screaming out for a colon. It's screaming out for it. Like it just needs it. And I found a piece of trivia that I was on Wikipedia or something that said they were originally going to call this thing Short Circuit 2 : more input.
Love it.
And that would have been awesome. That would have been amazing. But I think they could have went with Short Circuit. You even mentioned this before. Without even the 2, you don't even need the 2. You
Yeah.
just say Short Circuit 2, more input, or Shorter Circuit, or I don't know. There's a million
Shorter
more ways.
circuit.
Short Circuit 2, even shorter. That's what it should have been. You know what I mean? There's a million more like colons that they could have went with, and I
Yeah.
feel like just Short Circuit 2 is
Is there,
just a
like-
missed opportunity.
Is there like a thing where it's like you could put the number 2 as the S? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's like
Short
things,
Circuit.
That's dumb things that movie people do.
Too
To
Hort
let you know
Circuit.
that it's 2 without putting the 2 in there.
Too Hort
you know?
Circuit.
Yeah. 2 Hort Circuit.
It's a golden opportunity that they missed.
Like, you know, when Jeter retired and they had like, respect.
Respect.
And the S was a 2 for his number.
I'm
It's
pretty
like,
sure that
oh,
you and I used to just make fun of that so hard every time we saw it. Just that whole year, right, on the retirement tour.
2 Hort Circuit, more input.
And I agree wholeheartedly what you said. The synopsis there is just way too like bare for what this actually is. So
Like, them stealing Johnny is like just scratching the surface. But anyways.
Let's
do we have
go-
taglines?
taglines here. Let me go to these. So actually, I think these are pretty good. So I'm going to say the name of the movie first. So Short Circuit 2. Some say he's nuts. Some say he's bolts. But can number 5 make it in the big bad city? Keep your wires crossed.
Love it.
Too
Say no
long,
more.
but it's great.
I like it. Nuts and bolts. I like the pun
Yeah.
because he is nuts, but he's also
But where do
bolts.
you fit that on the movie poster? It's going to take up the whole thing. But
Well,
you
you
ever
do,
see
like-
those movie posters with all text, like as an
Yeah.
overlay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
don't
he's
know,
a shadow in the back.
You could put some at the top and some at the bottom.
Yeah.
Keep your wires crossed. We'll go at the bottom.
Or what if it's just like all text and he's in the back? You can fit it somehow.
Isn't the movie poster like him and Ben popping out of
I think so.
out of the manhole?
I think so.
It's not so much the cover of the movie, like if you bought it on VHS, but it's like that's like one of the posters.
Yeah.
I can
How
see
about
that.
how about the second one? Short Circuit 2: The Adventures of America's Most Electric Leading Man continue.
Oh. I mean, I don't call him the most electric leading man. I don't know. It's giving him a little too much credit. I love him. Don't get me wrong.
He's no Schwarzenegger, you know what I mean?
He's no, yeah.
He's no Steven Seagal over
no-
here.
he's no
I mean,
Steven
come
Seagal.
on. Those
He's
are
no-
those are pretty good though. For all the ones that
Yeah.
we've had on this show, it's not
Mm.
bad.
I like him.
What about financials? So in 1988, this thing had a budget of about $15 million, and the cumulative worldwide gross, I think, was about 21 return. So it kind of flopped. I mean, it flopped.
Yeah.
But what did they spend the money on? I mean, the robotics, I guess.
I think there were 4 or 5 Johnny Fives. So I don't know
Yeah.
how much a Johnny Five costs. I mean, he'll tell you it costs $11 million.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the actual cost of one of these robots, let alone 5, and what those robots actually do. Like, you know, in as far as what is their functionality in the movie?
I have a lot of
suppose.
questions about that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about that because for me, like when you're operating this thing, is there a guy with a remote control? Like, how did the battery work? How long did the battery work? Like, did it malfunction? I think when we did the robots episode, which we'll have to link back, and that's right, we didn't even mention this. We talked about Johnny Five on one of our earlier episodes. I can't remember the number, but it's the last of robots where we talked about Chappie and we did a whole robot ranking. You wrote an awesome article on the website. We'll have to link to that too. But I'm curious because I think there was like something about, like you said, 5 robots, and I think they malfunctioned, sort of like Goro in Mortal Kombat too.
Yeah.
So no, it's just interesting to me. I have a lot of questions about the way that that thing works.
Because really, like you look at the rest of the movie, it's like they shot in a warehouse, they shot on the streets of Toronto.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't know, in a shopping
Toy
mall.
store.
Yeah, shopping mall. And that's about it.
Yeah, that shopping mall scene was probably like all the scenes in there was probably like a day,
Yeah.
and then they had an office building, and that's about it.
Yeah. So it's like all effects, I feel. So, and also the 21 million. The original made 40, so we're going way back. That's why we probably didn't see it
Yeah.
number 3.
Well, I did see that. Yeah, they said that it essentially flopped, and unfortunately, because of that, which kind of stinks.
I blame all of you people out there. Why didn't you go see it? Because we'd have more. We'd have more if you people would have went to see it.
I was 4 years
I-
old at this time. I don't know if I was there. Maybe I was.
I did my part. You people didn't do your part.
Oh man, I have a lot of questions about how many times you've seen this. Hold it for a second, but it had 2 awards I don't think the MTV Movie Awards were around at that time, or the Kids' Choice Awards, or maybe they were, but it wasn't nominated for him. It was nominated for Best Science Fiction Film, I think, at the Saturn Awards, I believe it was, and it lost to Alien Nation for Best Science Fiction Film. It was up against Cocoon: The Return, My Stepmother's an Alien, The Blob, and They Live, which is a show. That's a movie I've never seen, and we should probably do it on this show. I know that's like an iconic movie, but I think that's a good one. But it lost to Alien Nation, and then Best Special Effects, and it lost to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It was also up against Moonwalker, Scrooged, Willow, and Beetlejuice.
Dude, I think we talked about this before on our Guess Have Some mailbag, on how much I love Moonwalker.
Great movie.
And more people need to see it. Man, what a good year for movies. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I mean, yeah, that probably would win Best Special Effects.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I said
what a competition, though.
I know, right?
Look at
I know.
Scrooge, Beetlejuice. Like, look at that.
The special effects in Scrooged are really underrated, honestly. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
We should do that one on this show, too. And Beetlejuice is another one that we've never done, but it's a great freaking movie.
Yeah.
So, and I said Saturn Awards, but Saturn Award is the award, but it's the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in 1990, which is interesting because it wasn't this 88. So,
yes,
don't know what kind of thing they're on there. But anyway, let's talk about this movie. You mentioned the first one, not making more money. It had different stars in this. So if you've ever seen the first one, it starred Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy, two huge stars from the 80s, and Fisher Stevens, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen this first one. I didn't think he was as prominent of a character. I think it was primarily Steve Guttenberg's movie.
Yes.
But basically, I read that the producers wanted Guttenberg, who played a character by the name of Newton Crosby, to come back to the sequel without even a script, but he declined. And then there was some interview or something like 20 years later where he said that he regretted turning down the chance to star in this movie. And it's kind of interesting because most of the time you would hear the opposite, where somebody would say, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that. It would have tanked my career." What do you think about him not being in this? Do you think that it would have worked better with him and Ali Sheedy in this? Like, what's your perspective on how this worked?
Well, it's funny because, yeah, he would say that because look at what happened to him after the 90s, right?
Yeah.
His career kind of went down. And not that, he found solid work, but not really in the mainstream. Not in the zeitgeist, if you will, right?
The cultural zeitgeist.
The cultural zeitgeist. Don't ask me to define that word.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Michael McKean is better than him, right? If we're gonna have a secondary character to Ben and the robot, why not have an upgrade like McKean? Have breathe some new life into the show, right? Because what else would he have done? Like, I don't know. What possibly would he have done?
I think he would have overshadowed the character of Ben because he was the big guy from the first one. You couldn't have made Ben the main character. Like, Michael McKean is obviously one of the better actors in any of the movies that we've done here, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
But he did a great job of knowing his role as the side character, sort of, even though he didn't steal the show from Ben. I thought they like balanced it pretty well. Whereas Steve Guttenberg, I think, would have just taken over just because of the character.
Yeah. Right. And also with Ali Sheedy, it's like they did a really good job of, I guess, like kind of hiring an Ali Sheedy clone.
Yeah.
And this other woman playing what's her name? I don't even know. Sherry, Sandy, Samsonite.
Slappy, Swimmy, Swammy.
It doesn't matter. No, but like they're both kind of like, Q's button girl next door, worried about everything. Ali Sheedy's character is more worried about what's this robot do to my house versus Sandy being worried about getting her 1,000 toys, right, and all that. But still, they still kind of had that wide-eyed kind of unsure of themselves kind of character. It's the same type of character they're playing. I don't know. Sheedy was just slightly more famous than this one woman who went on to pretty much do nothing that we all know of after that. So, but she did a good job. She was fine.
I'm on Steve Guttenberg's IMDb page right now, and like obviously Carrie Mahoney is that's what I think of when I think of him. Yeah. But one of the most underrated roles of his entire career.
I know what you're going to say
right now.
I know what you're going to say.
When he played himself on Party Down.
Yes.
As Steve Guttenberg's birthday party in that episode. Criminally underrated TV show. Like all the people blew up. If you've never seen Party Down, go watch it. I think it's on Hulu. Go check that show out. It's awesome.
It might be the best episode of the series, and
So
I think
good.
aren't they doing new episodes?
I heard that they were going to reboot this thing for a long time, but I never knew that.
I think it's happening. I think it's happening. I think it's actually happening. Soon.
If it is, that's awesome. Yeah, super crackers. That's all I'll say. But no, I agree with what you said. I think this movie, and I want to talk about this as like a nostalgia factor too, because we talk about the first one, you talk about the second one. Is this a Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2 effect, or do you think this movie's actually better than the first one? Like, what's your thoughts?
It's a Ghostbusters 2 all over the place. Home Alone 2 possibly as well, where it's like the first one's a better movie, but this one might be more rewatchable. I mean, we talk about rewatchableness in the Batman Returns episode prior to this, in episode 97. Go check it out. This falls into the same category, I feel, where this one is more rewatchable than the first one.
Yeah.
Even though the first one is overall a better movie. This is more, I think it's more kid friendly, and like there's a lot more Johnny Five scenes of him exploring the town, and and he gets into mischief and everything. And we'll get into it later, where it's almost like sad, where he's treated like a second class citizen, and there's like there's classism involved, there's like robot racism involved, and it's really sad. But as a kid, you're like, oh, he's getting into trouble, he's getting into hijinks,
he's roughing up the bookstore.
Yeah.
This movie is really sad in the undertones. It's pretty like deep.
Like I don't know how you could like nominate the robot for like an actor award, but like whoever was like
the guy's voice
controlling his voice. Well, first of all, the voice actor is great, and he does a lot of voice work in a lot of things. Yeah. And I think he died recently.
Oh, really?
Look that up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. But also like the operator of his eyebrows, Drew.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Top notch,
dude. That's the thing. Like, and this to me. So I haven't seen this. I couldn't honestly. I can't remember the last time I watched this movie. It's been a long time, but I watched this a bunch as a kid. There's scenes in this that are just ingrained in my memory, like the Mohawk when he's in the Radio Shack and all that stuff, and like the brutal death scene. I mean, that really messed me up. Messed me up as a kid.
Yeah. But then the redemption of him getting the bad guy at the end to I Need a Hero playing in the background.
Yeah, the montage.
Like, come on. Jeez, man. That's so gets you.
And the gold paint.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew, I love this movie, Drew. And when I watched it, all I was thinking of is what a delight. This movie is a delight. And the series is a delight. And it holds a special place in my heart. I watched it, not seeing it in maybe over a decade, maybe more. And it held up. It totally held up. And we've had movies in the past that we've spoken of on this podcast. One of them, I think one of the more recent ones being like Angels in the Outfield, where it's like we watched it, Leave It in the Past. Three Ninjas also Leave It in the Past. This one aged like a fine wine, Drew. I mean, aside from some very problematic issues that we'll get into very quickly.
Yes.
The movie's just enjoyable, and I wish there was more. I wish there were more.
My only complaint with this movie, and we caught some heat for the Batman Returns episode, I think, but people were respectful of our opinion.
Mild heat. Don't be over.
I'm still on the record of it was a good film, and I think this is a good movie, and I enjoy this movie. But I will say, I joked about it in the beginning, but I think it's like 15 minutes too long. Yeah. I don't know what parts I would cut, because I get what they were doing. Yeah. But I think when I watched it again, the memories that I had of it were of the second half, not of the first. And I got to be honest with you, I was a little bored in the beginning. I was a little bored. Like, I didn't care about what Ben was doing on the street. I just wanted to see Johnny Five.
Get to the robot. There's no reason for the movie to go 20 minutes without the robot. Get to the robot already. And
the other thing that I got to tell you, and I'll try to avoid going too deep into this, but the Fisher Stevens thing is just kind of like, it's hard to watch that now, knowing what it was.
Yeah. We got to address it. We have to address it.
Like, the guy did a great job acting, but it's obviously insensitive right now, and it's something that is like, you watch this now, it's like, obviously they wouldn't do that. They should have casted somebody else. And I think he's given some interviews too. You sent me an article that was interesting of him addressing it now, but that was something that was also like weird. I kind of, by the end of the movie, I don't want to say I tuned it out, but I got used to it, I guess, again. But that's a thing that's also something that probably doesn't hold up very well here. And I think they would all admit that.
Yeah. And he himself said that today, he regrets he regrets taking the role. He would never take a role like this now. But at the time, he didn't fully grasp how problematic it turned out to be. And actually, in a 2015 interview with Aziz Ansari, so Aziz Ansari had a fascination with this movie, him being Indian himself, where he says, and much like me, Aziz himself did not know he wasn't actually Indian for long stretches of his life until into his adulthood. That holy shit, this guy's basically playing brownface. And it's actually quite problematic and quite offensive. Yeah. And, appropriation and all that. So, yeah, it's hard for me because I do love both of these movies. And for such a large character in both movies to be racially problematic is definitely, it's conflicting.
Do you think that's why they don't really show this movie on TV ever?
And
stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
There's a reason this movie isn't on TBS 50 times a year. Yeah.
It is. And the interesting thing is just like Aziz, I didn't know for years, right? When I think of Fisher Stevens now, I think of, it's going to sound ridiculous. I think of him playing one of the Koopas the Goombas from Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Yeah.
He was Bowser's, Dennis Hopper's right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember the character that he played, but I just remember him from that, and I just remember the character. And that, I mean, he's been in a bunch of other stuff too, but it's this the other role. But I did not know for years. I had no idea. And
it's weird because he did a good job. It's just that he shouldn't have been given the opportunity to do a good job.
And you could blame him, you could blame the director, you could blame whatever, but the reality is the character was written and he was casted, and that's not a great thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And for worse, and we're getting better as a society as we go on, but in the 80s, that's people didn't think about that kind of thing in the 80s.
Which is sad. I mean, it's sad because there was a group of people that were marginalized, and it's just kind of messed up.
But it wasn't considered ridiculous mainstream for a white man to take this kind of acting job and fully throw himself into it.
Right.
Right. So it's just a weird thing. And I hate to say I'll look past it, but I don't know. The movie is in this own weird world to me.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I can't just throw it aside. I don't know.
That was the hardest thing I think I had watching the movie. I like the movie, but that definitely was a thing. And I think we did need to address it here. We can't just gloss over it.
Yeah.
If they made this today, obviously that would not be done. And it is kind of hard looking back on it, knowing that, but I don't know.
And what's interesting is that Fisher Stevens did say that the role was written to be kind of a geeky white man, and the director and co-writer changed it to be an Indian character
after he was already cast,
before they started shooting, and after he was cast. And then after he was cast, they asked him, "Can you play Indian? Quote unquote play Indian?" He says.
Yeah,
and then he said yes, and then he immersed himself into studying, what that would entail.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a tough spot for him to be put in, but he went through with it. He went through it, and he dove in. And
the director and them shouldn't have put him and the movie in that position, but I don't know. So let's talk about Ben as a character then. Let's talk about where he was in the last movie and where he is now. So Ben was this scientist for that company. I believe it was called Nova. Nova Robotics or something. Yep. And they were a defense contractor, and they were making these robots and blah, 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 right? So he was not necessarily the main character of the last movie, but he becomes the main character of this movie, if you want to say that he shares the limelight with Michael McKean and Johnny Five himself.
Certainly.
But he's on the street as a street vendor, living out of his van, selling toys, living the van life, #van life, making these little miniature replicas of Johnny Five. And Johnny Five is back in Montana, I think, with Steve Guttenberg at this point.
Sure.
How does he wind up? I mean, they imply that it's New York City. It's clearly not. I mean, it's Toronto, and it's pretty obvious. There's Toronto landmarks and stuff. But how does he wind up doing this? And what do you think of his street toy business? Do you think he's successful at this thing?
Very few street vendors are going to have this, big level success. You would
raking in the dough.
Yeah, raking in the dough. But man, what a product, right? I looked this up, $19.99 for a replica of Johnny Five. I would pay $199 for an official replica of Johnny Five to put on my mantle.
Full size?
To put it on my mantle, in my study above my large Bruce Wayne fireplace. I would
with your logs?
Yeah, with my logs. I would proudly bestow my $200 Johnny Five if one existed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pay someone $200 to build me a Johnny Five, and I don't see it anywhere available. Like
if you're out there.
Yeah, there are things on Etsy, but they're like 12 centimeters high, and they charge like $80 for them.
You got the people in the factory at his factory making those things.
Yeah. And they're like, they look fine, but like, I'm not going to pay $90 for some little tiny piece of shit, right? And it's a nice looking piece of shit, but it's a piece of shit.
It's a polished one.
Yeah, it's a polished turd. I want an official.
How dare you?
Whatever the hell company made this movie, Warner Brothers, whatever the hell, I have no idea.
TriStar, I believe. TriStar. They had the pony with the wings.
I don't care. Somebody make the damn thing. Seth MacFarlane, make the damn toy, and I'll buy it from
Seth MacFarlane, Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. I don't know. Who the
Family
hell
Guy.
His brother. They know each other. It's fine.
It's like 3 a.m.
You know what, Drew?
You know the drill, everybody.
75% of the listeners do not know the difference between Seth MacFarlane and Todd. They don't even know who Todd McFarlane is. I don't. Clearly, I don't. So it doesn't matter.
You don't know the Todd Father?
The Todd Father, yeah. The toy master. Make the damn toy and I'll buy it. I'll give you $200 for it. It's probably not even worth that.
In all seriousness, I'm surprised that McFarlane Toys hasn't made a Johnny Five short circuit toy.
Come on, make me a highly detailed Johnny Five, and I'll pay you whatever $79.99, whatever the overpriced thing they want to charge. I'll buy it.
How much would a full size replica cost? Like, what if? So where's the golden closet when you need it? Where is Johnny Five as a toy? Where's that thing today?
So there's
two things. It got broken?
So there's two things on Golden Closet that I would totally buy. One, obviously Johnny Five. The thing costs $5,000. I mean, I'd think long and hard about it. I probably would end up not buying it.
Yeah.
But it isn't $5,000. It'd be like $50,000. Secondly, Michael McKean's brown leather jacket.
Oh yeah.
I would totally buy that. I would buy it for $1,000.
It's like a leisure suit leather jacket. Yeah. What about the silk shirt, man?
I don't need
shirt.
I don't need the silk shirt.
That thing's like sweat stained. Yeah. It's his only shirt that he has.
He wore it too many times in a row. Like, how many times in a row are you going to wear the shirt? It's a nice shirt, but you can't just wear it 5 times in a row.
I mean, it breathes, right? It's got at least it's silk. It breathes better. But
yeah.
I mean, do you think Ben? So he's on the street charging $20 for this thing. Clearly, it's not enough, right?
Great price. Well, as much as he calculates man hours that it takes to make one of these things, he's clearly underselling it.
His hourly rate's probably like $1 an hour at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, what's his profit margin here? Come on, man.
It's so low because
he needs a business partner, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Michael McKean's on the street selling Rolexes next to fake Rolexes.
Rolexes, yeah.
Folex, right? And I don't know. I think what Ben is underselling himself, but he doesn't know any better. And you're right. Like, I think he probably does need Michael McKean to help him out.
At the same time, if you're on the streets of New York City, or what they keep calling it, quote unquote, the big city USA
in Canada,
yeah, you can't just sell the thing for $50. No one's gonna buy it. So you have to got to break in. Yeah, and then you got the big toy, big wig, Sandy. Slippy Slappy.
Sandy Palomino.
Sherry Palomino. You got to get lucky and get somebody like that to notice you in the big toy market. Get the KB Toys in there saying, hey, we could sell these things. And, it happened.
Let's talk about Johnny Five, right? So we talked about him on the Robots episode.
Yes. Number 3. He came in at 3rd place, Drew, only behind R2-D2 and the T800.
I think, just like we rescaled people, I feel like one day that deserves a rescale because I don't know, man. T800 is awesome because he gives the thumbs up as he's dying, but I think I would put Johnny Five above R2-D2 if I had to re-rank that. I don't know.
It's all about the stats, man. We have the criteria, the numbers. We can't do this thing with our hearts. We got to do it with our heads.
We got to be objective about it.
Yeah, got to be objective about our robot rankings.
I'm definitely gonna go back.
We can't make a mockery of it, Drew.
Yeah, make a mockery of this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go back and I'll link this to everybody. Badway wrote an awesome blog post on our website. I'll put it in the show notes for this. And I think you had 5 categories. It was a 1 to 10 scale for their strength, their intelligence, their wit, their trust, and their beauty. And it was really a genius thing. And Badway went through and a lot of the YouTube videos are like just, I don't know, I guess they're unavailable now, but there's some really good stuff on there. Wafflebot, Lisa from Weird Science, Prometheus, David, Chappie. You had some really good ones, but I'll link to that on the website. But I mean, does your opinion change on Johnny Five as a robot now that you rewatch Short Circuit 2 here? Talk about like his looks. You mentioned something that I thought was the best, the eyebrows.
Yeah. The eyebrows really make it because it gives him full emotion.
He can emote. A
wide range of emotion. And that's really the iconic look of him is the head and I think probably his feet, his what do you, for I don't know, his tank like posterior.
It's like a tread, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's adorable. Look at the guy. He's adorable. And he makes you, feel bad for him. He makes you want to root for him. It kind of humanizes him. Gives him all the features, the eyeballs, it gives him the wide-eyed, precarious. Is it precarious? No, precocious. Precocious is the word I'm looking for. Seth MacFarlane, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
the toy maker.
No, yeah, so yeah, he's just adorable and he makes you want to root for him just on his look alone. And then you get into his voice, that's a whole other thing. The voice actor, who is still alive, like I said.
All right,
not harmed. Earlier. He's not harmed. He did a great job.
You have an early death over here.
Yeah. Of making him seem like, I don't know, like
he's like an inquisitive child.
Like an inquisitive child. Like, yeah. I'm not sure how old he is, but like he, wide-eyed youth, that kind of thing.
The eyes to me are also very underrated in that they open and close like the iris of the eye. And I feel like that adds so much humanity to the thing, even though he doesn't really have a face. I mean, his mouth is like a light bar or something. That's about it. But the eyes are so emotive that he looks alive to me. So when he says Johnny Five alive, like I'm like, man, is there a guy in that thing? Obviously there's not, because it's, there's no room for the person. But it seems like there's a person playing him. He's so alive to me. But I love the look of him, and I think the design is amazing. But they made a comment in the movie, and I want to get your perspective on this, but they made a comment, like, because in the first one, I think they were in Montana or somewhere right in the middle of nowhere.
It's Montana.
They tell him, don't let him know he's in a city.
Yeah.
What kind of idea, how bad of an idea was this thing? That's
the first thing I thought of when he popped out of that box is how terrible of an idea was it to ship this guy to New York. Well, let's call it New York for, lack of a better term.
Fake New York.
He's going to either get lost or get in trouble or get killed. And all three happened, like immediately.
Yeah, within like, how long was this? Like a day?
Yeah. Like this is like over a week. And like, yeah, he almost died. He got lost. He got into a gang. He got arrested. He scared people. He got kicked out of church, which is impossible to do.
That was hilarious, by the way. The guy was like offended. And again, shouldn't a robot be allowed to go to confession? Come on now.
For real. Come on now. What year is this? Come on.
I thought God didn't judge.
Well, they had a lot of things that happened in 1988 that we regret today. So, yeah. But yeah, it's Ben. I don't know. Ben should have done we talk about this thing like a child, right? Ben should have done the responsible thing and say, yes, Johnny, you are in a city. You can go out with me. Don't leave my side. I'll take you to the places. And he could have taken him to safe places.
Put him on a leash.
Not leave him alone with scumbag Fred with the silk shirt.
If you wear a silk shirt and a leather jacket, you can't be trusted. I'm sorry.
You can't trust that guy.
You can't trust a guy
selling fake Rolexes.
He's in like a teal silk shirt and a brown leather jacket. Get the hell out of here with that.
Yeah. A guy who has one nice shirt, who only wears it and remarks about how nice his silk shirt is all the time, is not to be trusted. Yeah. Skinny gold chain. Yep.
I mean, what are other things that... So we saw him rough up a bookstore. We saw him trying to get input. Talk about input, man.
It's his drug, man. Does
he have an addiction?
Does input get this guy high, Drew?
I think it does.
Does it get him high?
But I guess there's worse things to get high on.
Yeah. I don't know, but like he lives, he's got to have it. If he doesn't have input, he gets the shakes. He gets the shivers, Drew. I don't know. He needs the input.
He has a 500 megabyte hard drive, I believe now, or whatever, flash memory. Like that's a big upgrade.
A library and the bookstore is a dangerous place for this guy to be in, because what if he gets too much input? What What if his hard drive gets maxed out? Then we got a Johnny Mnemonic situation.
I was going to say, are we in Johnny Mnemonic
Yeah.
rules, or is he's got memory leaks because he's over?
Yeah, I feel like how's eventually the thing's got to fill up. Like, I know he's sentient, he's human, but like, let's be real. I mean, sorry, he doesn't have a brain. He does not have a human brain. You know,
True.
And even the human brain can only retain so much information. Like you and I have good brains. I think. You know,
I don't. You do.
I don't. I question my own brain. I can't. I can't tell you a cartoon guy from a toy maker.
I could use a 500 megabyte upgrade.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. That's for me.
Yeah.
I could use that.
I guess they could always just add on like some external drives for him, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But it seems like I don't know. We got to scale the input back. We got to wean this guy off a little bit on his input.
What are other things that you think he would have got in trouble? So he got in trouble at a church. He got kicked out of the church. He roughed up the bookstore. I mean, what else would send this guy overboard? Like, there's a lot of stuff to do in the city. Like, I'm just surprised that if you see this thing driving around, you're either going to think you're on a prank show or like, what is going on?
So I think that of all places, New York City, downtown, Times Square, you could kind of get away with this, right? Because you're figuring there's a dude behind this robot somewhere controlling this robot.
Yeah.
So it could drive down the streets and get into no trouble as long as it doesn't do anything nuts, right? If you just see a robot driving around in the park, you'd be like, oh, that's curious, but, I'm not really afraid of it. It's not doing anything. It's just kind of like looking around, saying funny things. Like, that's a kind of thing that you would see in downtown, Times Square, New York City.
What was the whole thing? Remember that robot that got busted up in Philadelphia?
You can't bring it to Philly. You can't bring it to Philly, though. But the robot that got beat up in Philly, it looked suspicious. So it had it coming.
Yeah, I mean, look, put it in New York, but just take it to Philly. This movie could not have been filmed in Philadelphia. He wouldn't have got taken into Los Locos. They would have taken him out.
Yeah. The people of Philly are too protective,
I'll tell you what,
they're not going to let some robot stomp into their yard and think it's going to do something. They're reactionary. They are reactionary.
I'm trying to I got to look this thing up because I want to see the robot that got roughed up.
But you know what? The explanation of the dude saying why the robot got effed up, and you kind of go, well, I get it.
Kind of made sense.
Kind of makes some points
Dude,
here.
This thing looks like a garbage can. Like, I'm looking this
that's
up.
That's why it got Drew. Johnny Five, he has the eyebrows. He looks, precocious.
Dude, the picture of this thing laying down, it's so bad. It reminds me of the Johnny Five thing.
Yeah, if we learn one thing, it's that any robot that's on its side looks pathetic.
It looks like the outside of like an air conditioning unit with like a face. Like, I don't even know. Remember that robot from the 80s that they used to sell that you put the tape into it or something?
I forget what it's called.
And it has like rubber boots on it. Yeah, but you're right. That thing does actually looks more suspicious, and it doesn't emote like Johnny Five does. But they could not have filmed this in Philly.
And I'm sure it wasn't, wise alecky like Johnny Five was. No. Johnny Five has a very, very good sense of humor that would get him out of any type of that kind of situation.
So you think people would react like they would think it's a prank show or something?
Yeah,
like,
as long as he wasn't doing anything threatening, which he wasn't.
No, he's just driving around looking for input. I mean, I guess maybe throwing the books all over the place, but that would be funny
again,
to me.
He was high. It's like he just did a line. He did a line of words. Basically,
you can't blame a drug addict for that.
Yeah, he did a line of words, and he was all hopped up on freaking nonfiction.
How naive would you call Johnny? Because I think he even says at one point like he's a minor or something, right?
I think when he gets arrested, he goes, "Hey, I'm a minor."
What equivalent age do you think that he is, like mentally? Like, obviously he's very intelligent.
Yeah,
but
because he reads everything, but he might be like 8 years old, really 8 or 9, as far as like the mentality goes and naivete.
The genius.
Yeah, but like when we talk about him later becoming a citizen, I want to focus on this now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know, like. Has emotions, but he also doesn't really know right from wrong, kind of.
That's true.
So how do you like treat him as a member of society? I guess you got to treat him like a juvenile. So when he goes and commits crimes like bank robbery and stealing the Vandervelde collection or whatever the hell, it's like, how culpable is he?
I mean, you're right. Like,
if someone talks you into going on a bank robbery, you can't just say, "Oh, he made me do it. He talked me into it." Unless there was a gun to your head, you're going to jail. So
it's true.
Does this robot go to jail, or are we claiming that he's 8? Like, how old is, like, what are the rules?
This is where, as a citizen, then he has to be bound to the laws, and he's got to learn, right? He learned, he took the constitutional oath or whatever it was when he was becoming the citizen, so he's got to learn the rules of the country, I would think, right?
Right. But
what do you think?
I don't know. Do they swear you in? Like, and then because it's a new thing, like this is the first robot to be deemed an American citizen. We have to kind of establish how old he is and like how long of a leash do we give this man before we start giving him misdemeanors and felonies for doing crazy things on the streets.
Like roughing up a bookstore.
Yeah.
Can he be retroactively arrested for that?
Like, how many car stereos does he steal before we say, all right, buddy, you know this is wrong now. You can't
do you think?
Can't let anyone talk you into doing crimes. I don't know. I think maybe we give him 3 strikes. Let's give him 3 strikes, Drew.
Yes, or maybe he goes to like juvenile detention, right? Because he's a minor. So like a kid doesn't really go to jail. Like he goes to like juvie. Maybe he goes to that.
Yeah. What kind of cell do you put him in? Because like clearly he can bend the bars.
Well, that's true.
He's bending the bars.
Because he's like a robot, he's in like a self-imposed prison where he's like,
okay, so
shut him down.
You're right, because when he was handcuffed, he could have gotten out at any time.
Yeah.
Like when Ben goes down and says, "Oh, you got him handcuffed. All right, Johnny, you're free now." He broke himself out, so I guess he would follow the rules. He'll do what you tell him. That's the thing. He does what anyone tells him to do.
That's true.
And what anyone says, he does.
There's going to be skeptics, though. Like, imagine if he was in prison and then someone told him they did the same thing. Like, "Oh, break me out of here. I'm innocent." And then he naively breaks them out.
Yeah, you got the Los Locos the leader in the jail going, "Oh, Johnny, they put me in this jail and I'm totally innocent. They have no idea. Can you get me out?"
Yeah.
And then like he would do it. He'd just bust the wall open and do it.
Yeah, I mean, they fooled him to steal the car stereos. Yeah. So,
"Oh, Johnny, my wife, she cheated on me. She's got to die. That's what we do here in this city."
Yeah. Oh, we got a murderer.
He kills the wife. Yeah. You know? And all of a sudden, we got matricide.
Then he's a robot murderer. Then he's a robot murderer.
Then he's a robot murderer. You know, how many times are we going to let him get away with this?
Yeah.
With the excuse of, "Oh, I didn't know."
Another thing that I was thinking about him, so does he have feelings? And like, I know he's a computer program, right? But when I'm watching him brutally get murdered,
yes,
and he's like crying, like, I mean, for lack of a better word, he's like, "Don't kill me."
Yeah,
like that's hard to watch, man.
Yeah.
He has feelings, right? Even if it's computer programmed.
Yeah,
right?
like, does he have? Is it hurt? Does it
I
hurt
think so.
him? Like, or does he like know that them touching me in this way, I'm supposed to feel pain, so I'm gonna shout, "Ah!" You know, I don't know.
It's a computer program
and
reaction.
Then, yeah, and if that's the case, but if he does feel pain, you know what I'm gonna ask you, Drew?
Yeah,
Does he also feel pleasure?
Why?
Is he a pleasure model, Drew?
He's a. You know what? I'm surprised in the second one. Yeah. Instead of giving Ben the romance, why didn't they give Johnny 5 the romance?
Exactly.
It's like Problem Child 2, where there's like the female the problem child girl that he likes. Yeah. What the other movies? There's always a girl, Bride of Chucky.
Yeah. So if there were a third one, there would absolutely have been a female Johnny 5.
Yeah. And then we find out the answer to your question.
Yes. So, and like, I don't know, they kind of danced around it in the first one with Ali Sheedy, where he kind of got feelings for her.
He had a crush on her.
He kind of had a crush on her, but it was never like reciprocated or even broached. It's kind of like, "Oh, that's cute. The guy doesn't know what he's doing."
Yeah.
I'm surprised that didn't like come up here.
Listen,
but yeah, that's the third one. That would have been the third one.
Listen, all I'm going to say is if he can read any book, right?
Yeah.
And he can read any book and he's robotic.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that.
The Robo Sutra?
I'll just leave it at that.
If he could go to Radio Shack and just attach limbs, Drew, and reattach broken limbs and like make modifications and additions, Drew, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
We can't go too much further here. We gotta earn our parental advisory.
You guys get it.
But I do think he has feelings. But I don't know. Anything else you want to say about him? I mean, we've spent a good amount of time, but he is the episode.
Yeah. You know, we could sit here all day and gush about him, but we have to move on to other things. But before we leave Johnny 5 for now, I want to talk about the costumes of Johnny 5, Drew, because he
awesome.
had, what was it, 5? He had 5 different looks in this movie, which is, I mean, I don't remember 5. And then I saw 5. I was like, yeah, wow, this guy had a lot of looks.
Again, they could have had the toys, man. They could have had 5 different versions.
I would have bought all 5. I will buy, people, Seth
Call
MacFarlane,
up Seth-
after you write your
Seth
latest
MacFarlane.
episode of Family Guy, can you please make these toys for me? Get your brother on the phone, Todd. So, do you want to rank these costumes real quick, Drew?
Yeah.
So, in order of appearance, we got Montana Hippie when he busts out of the box, when he's all Montana-fied. He got rid of his laser. He put in an umbrella and a suction cup, which I'm fine with. It's cool. It's kind of like taking the Turtles, taking their weapons away. I get it. It's fine.
He's not a killing machine.
He's not a killing machine. The Los Locos graffiti, which
man,
I thought was very hot and badass.
That was hot.
From head to toe, he was tatted up. Very nice. I don't know how Ben cleaned him. Like
That was...
How do you clean that?
That was missing a black light, because if they had a black light, that would have looked even cooler, because it's like the neon paint.
Yeah,
that was hot.
So we got the human clothes incognito, where he wears the size 60 shirt, and he's got the little hoodie on in the back, which I thought was adorable.
He had Steven Seagal size shoulders from shoulder pads there. It was like 60 feet wide.
And then you had the self-conscious dialogue driving down the street going, hey, I'm just a normal Joe. I'm one of you. I think they're buying it. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it, Johnny. Then you got the Mad Max pissed off rampage mode, Johnny 5, when he gets fixed up by Fred, or as he calls him, Durf. And then we got at the end, the Golden Hero, which is just shiny and new. We love it. We love to see it. So which one was your favorite?
Look, the Golden Hero is obviously the best. I can't go too much further than that, but the best one for me was the Mad Max, because of the iconic, like the mohawk, and he made the mohawk and the spikes. Like that was the best for me.
Did you like the bullet chain which was like D batteries?
Yes. And I loved how he repurposed all of the cool things from Radio Shack to make like awesome Mad Max looking armor. It was great. I love the mohawk was the best part.
Yeah. My favorite besides the Golden Hero, which is definitely number one, was definitely the Los Locos look.
Yeah.
Loved it. I loved he had a little jean vest on.
Yeah, the cut too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome.
Loved it. I would, if I could buy a copy of that right now, that would be the first thing I would buy. It was Los Locos
I am
Johnny.
surprised that, we joked about the toy line, but they really did miss a huge merchandising opportunity there, because those are 5 different, action figures they could sell.
Yeah, definitely.
That they would have.
For sure. I'm 100%. But maybe there's not, maybe I'm like a weirdo and there's not that many people that actually love this movie like I do.
think that this it's popular. I don't think you're alone in this.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Fred Ritter, played by Michael McKean. Is this guy homeless? What's he doing?
You know what? I thought that, but again, Ben also slept in the factory, but this guy never went home. He only has one set of clothes. It's a nice shirt, $149.99 retail. He got it off the truck, $49.95. But I think he is. I think he's on all he has is his silk shirt, his leather jacket, and a bundle of Folexes. That's all he's got to his name.
He looked put together pretty well. I mean, he played the part.
Yeah. I mean, he's a born salesman. He's a born salesman, but he's got nothing to sell, as he says.
Would you buy something? Have you ever bought anything from a street vendor in a big city?
No, but really, I've never been in the big city. Like, I'm very sheltered when it comes to that.
You've been to New York, though, haven't you?
You know what? I haven't walked the streets of New York probably since I was 12, to be
really?
honest. Yeah.
What about Philly?
Not Times Square.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I've been to Philly, but not in areas where I've seen like street vendors.
Like a street vendor?
I would, but I haven't. But I wouldn't buy clothing or watches.
You wouldn't buy a
I would buy something that was unique or interesting looking, but I wouldn't buy handbags like they do in Broad City or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, with Susie Smith. Yeah. I remember in high school, specifically, a bunch of people went on a trip, and I didn't go with them, but everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna go buy Folkleys. You want one?" And it was like $5 for a pair of Oakleys. And they came back and they looked real, and then literally within a day, the paint all chipped off like immediately. Yeah. It was pretty bad.
You get what
you were getting.
Yeah, you get what you get. Yeah.
But I want to talk about McKean or Fred Ritter as a character, but he butts in on this deal with Ben. Tell me a little bit about your perspective on this, because did Ben really need him? Or did McKean do him a service? Did he help him out in the end, or would he have been successful?
So it's funny because I wasn't sure if they were friends to begin with.
I don't think so.
Or did they first meet that day? They just happened to sidle up to each other?
That's what they implied. He was just happened to be there.
And then McKean was the ultimate opportunist. He sees a possible deal going through. Hey, let me get in on this. But Ben would never have taken the deal because he calculated that, I'd be done in freaking 20 years. So he would have said, sorry, I can't do it. Where, he didn't have the guts to say, we'll take it. We'll worry about how to do it later because it's an opportunity. and McKeon saw it as an opportunity. So yeah, I do think that Ben didn't need him. He didn't know he needed him. He didn't know how to make a business deal. So
what was Michael McKean's ultimate plan? Like, was he actually thinking that they were going to do this? Because he didn't know jack about this at all.
It didn't matter. You say yes and you worry about it later. He's the type of guy that would lie on a job interview, have no idea how to do the job he's going in for, and he'd be able to get the job because he's a smooth talker. And then once he got the job, he'd figure it out. Fake it till you make it, right? He's a fake it till you make it.
Do you think they offered enough money? Because I think, what was it? Was it like a $50K or something they were going to make?
$50 a robot for 1,000 robots. Yeah. Which I think is pretty good, right?
I mean, I guess, but then what's the store going to sell it for? They're going to sell it for a profit. So they'll probably sell it for like $80 or something.
Yeah, the store can't sell it. In 1988, you can't be selling those things for $100, right?
No, you can't. There's no way.
Even if it's 70, if they sold it for $20 a profit, that's still good. And then if they fly off the shelves, the price gets jacked up.
That's
you
true.
Renegotiate. Hey, or they can probably, reverse engineer one, and then they don't need Ben anymore.
Do you think they would have spent? That's true. That would have happened. Do you think they should have offered more money or been offered more money?
Well, I think that McKeon probably could have you offering 50? Well, what about 70? And they could have done a little back and forth there, but I think he just took it as an opportunity. He just wanted to get a handshake and then figure it out, because it was a long shot to begin with.
What about the whole subplot of him when he finally figures out that Johnny Five is worth a lot of money, which is crazy to me that he wouldn't think that just from seeing him. I mean, like a sentient robot. Like, he finds out, I think Johnny Five himself quotes that he's worth like $11 million or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
What the hell was his plan to sell him to Jamie Palomino's dad, by the way? That guy from that thing.
So
that guy from that thing.
2 questions. Can you sell something that isn't yours?
No.
And B, I mean, can you sell? I mean, it is like Johnny calls him out. It's slavery because, whether it appears so or not, this thing is alive, or is it like he's alive in the fact that he's selling a dog,
Well, that's true. I mean, yeah, he's selling a
Is
pet.
Johnny more dog or more human? I guess he's more human. But
he's more human, but is he? It's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of long story short, you can't sell them. But did he think that he was going to make a deal contingent on he has to get the sign off from Ben? Because Ben technically, quote unquote, owns him, even though he doesn't own him.
But he doesn't. He doesn't have paperwork or
Ben,
anything.
not in a million years, not for $1 billion, would Ben sign off on a deal selling this.
No,
thing.
And what would have happened was nobody would have paid anybody anything. These guys would have just taken him, and that's it. I don't think anybody would have. And where the hell was Nova? The second they found that out, because they were talking about the company, they're like, "Oh, this guy's the fired scientist or whatever, the estranged scientist."
Isn't Nova still looking for him? And the fact that he's running around New York City?
Yeah.
Why isn't this thing still in Montana with Steve Gutenberg? Why did they send him? What's going on here? Let's go back to that. He should never have been brought to this city.
They sent him because they wanted help with the manufacturing. They couldn't have just sent other people or something. They sent the robot.
Yeah.
They needed a way to tie it, I guess, to Steve Gutenberg and Ali Sheedy, I guess. And that's the only way they could do it. But you're right. He shouldn't have been anywhere near the city.
You know what I like to think? I like to think that, how at the end of the movie when he becomes a citizen and his face is on Time Magazine and all the newspapers, that one of the Nova generals picks up the newspaper and has that Timothy Oliphant, you son of a bitch smile.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
The picture from our cover.
Yeah, from Girl Next Door. He did the "you son of a bitch" this MFer. This guy, he's he did it. He's human.
I gotta give it to him.
You gotta give it to him. We almost had you there for a second.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but they said the other ones were all destroyed, so they're probably looking for this thing. Pretty irresponsible of Steve Gutenberg and Ali Sheedy to go send him out there.
For a lack of a better word, it was a real roll of the dice there. Roll of the dice. It worked out.
Think about this. Yeah. They sent him UPS too. They didn't hand deliver him. Shouldn't they have hand delivered him?
Didn't he say no? Didn't he say he tried to take a flight, but they called him cargo?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. I mean, anything else you want to say about Michael McKean? I mean, the one thing that I would say is the whole loan shark angle where he was trying to get some money from the loan shark. And, I guess you brought it up before we recorded this show, but the whole aspect of the factory, Like I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking. I was like, why didn't they just call the police? And you brought up a really good point. Maybe it was kind of on the down low. That place wasn't
Yeah, he
necessarily legal.
probably doesn't have a lease for the place, and I don't know, the whole loan shark thing. It was just to show that Fred wasn't undesirable and that he was kind of a scumbag, but he was, he is kind of has a heart, but he's kind of, he's a lowlife. He's on the, I don't know, he's what you would call a good con man.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
He's not
He's
an
like a
evil
used
con
car
man.
salesman. Is he like Simon?
Yeah, he won't sell out his own mother, but like he'll definitely like ruin her credit, but then say sorry later. That kind of he's that kind of guy.
Credit cards.
He's that kind of guy.
And he bought her something with it too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He bought it for her.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think he could be the successful CEO or whatever, or head of sales of Input Inc? Like, would he actually redeem himself here?
I don't know. He might end up stealing from the company. I don't know.
He's definitely going to.
Yeah, I don't know. If the sales are going good, he's like he said, he's a born salesman, but I've never had anything to sell.
True.
So, I mean, he's a fast talker. He can cut deals, and then why not? Why can't he go straight?
I'll be honest. I like this character a lot, and I like the friendship that he creates with Johnny Five.
Yeah, and like he keeps it real with Johnny, and at the end when he fixed him, I think that was a real brotherhood there. That was a real brotherhood. So
I have questions about that. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But let's quickly talk about Sandy, Jamie Palomino, Bonatoni.
Sandy Palomino, Slippy Slappy Palomino.
I personally felt like this whole plot line was unnecessary, and I think that maybe they could have cut the 15 minutes from this. I get why they did it, but I just didn't do it for me.
So I feel like the only reason that the relationship between Ben and Sandy makes sense in the whole love story, because it's the 80s, you gotta have a love story. You gotta have a love story in these movies.
There's no love scene though.
Yeah,
so.
there's no love scene. They have zero chemistry, but we gotta have one. How about when he came back from the date smoking the cigarette, even though he's not a smoker?
Was that an implication?
Yeah, it was definitely an implication.
Was it implied?
Yeah.
The greatest day of my life
was a complete success. He goes singing. He's singing as he's going
to completion.
Yeah. It was so good. Like that was like his sixth cigarette in a row as he walked home. No,
I noticed that. Like, what is this guy smoking for?
Yeah. No, the only reason that it works in the story is to give them a reason to call her and like do the Morse code song thing. Otherwise he probably wouldn't have her home number. So then they wouldn't be able to get saved from the freezer.
I guess I'm not saying they needed to cut her out, but he could have had her number because he needed to give her. They could do it in the office or something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get it. It's the 80s. They got to add it, but it didn't really do much for me. And
no,
I don't know.
It was a time waster. It was.
What about the whole job that she has?
So for most of the movie, she seems kind of mean, right? Kind of like she's using him. And
exactly. She needs a big break with her boss.
He was clearly in love with her the whole time. And like, she was kind of, either she was naive about it or she was ignoring him, or she was just
oblivious,
or she was so worried about the deal being done because she was going to get fired for not having good toy ideas,
Her boss seemed like the worst guy of all time, by the way, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Complete scumbag. Scumbag. This is totally random, by the way, and I have to bring this up. So they showed this scene where she's working in the mall, and it was a pretty sweet looking mall, right? The 1988.
Oh, yeah. I'd go to that mall.
Something that stood out to me that I just thought about, like, it doesn't really exist anymore in the way that this is. The idea of like a shoe salesman that's gonna like put the shoe on your foot.
I thought it was weird too.
Like, wasn't it weird? Like, I don't know why. And
it's such a nothing thing. It was like a split-second scene, and it stood out to me too.
This is the kind of hard-hitting analysis that you're gonna get on the Last Row podcast. But the shoe salesman at the mall. So there's like a guy sitting there. And I don't know, in 1988, was it like a service? It's sort of like you go to the gas station and the guy's wiping your windshield. You go to the mall and you try on shoes and the guy's going to put it on your foot and lace it up for you. Like, let me lace it myself. Yeah. I don't need your help.
So it's like, am I wrong? But like, maybe there's a little bit of a sexual aspect to it.
There is.
That maybe it's just me and in my stupid head. But yeah, it's kind of weird when it's like a guy going for business shoes. Like, you
They
know,
have like the tassels on them. Like, you slip it on.
Like the guy had
That's
the
it.
suit on. It's like he's clearly on his lunch break. He's getting new
doesn't
shoes,
need
and
it.
like I don't think he needs to have it placed on his foot.
It's
right.
thing, you know. I don't know.
It's like it's the whole Al Bundy thing. It's
Yeah,
like
but-
it's an undesirable job. You're just around stinky feet all day.
And I'm not like dumping on like people that work at like Foot Locker or something. Like you
No.
just get it. Like you're gonna help you out, but
It's nothing about the job itself. It's about the act of, you know, you can do everything in the shoe store except place the shoe on the person's foot.
do people
It's
do
a
that
totally.
still?
It's not even a luxury thing. It's kind of like what do you like? I can put my shoe on. Thank you.
I don't.
You know?
Yeah, I don't need it. Like so,
Yeah.
you go to a place like Kohl's or like a lot of the department stores where they're just out.
Yeah.
But even that, like, you go to Foot Locker, like, can I just go in the back and get it? Like, I don't know.
No, let the person get the shoe. Do you have the size? Let them lace it up for you. I agree with not letting customers lace up their own shoes.
But how hard is it to lace a shoe?
Because they could wreck them, Drew. These shoes, some of these shoes cost $200
Okay,
bucks
if
a
it's
pop.
Jordan, that's fine. I get it.
So you got Jordans that are, you know, if they happen to be in stock,
Fair
you know,
enough.
you're gonna let some asshole get in there and lace them up, and like I don't even know what the thing's called, like the lapels between the tongue,
I know what you're
like they
talking
could
about.
stretch them out and
Fair
everything
enough.
because people are animals. People are animals, and
I'm
they
not
don't
a
know how,
shoe connoisseur,
yeah,
I guess.
they don't know how to treat products properly. Like they have no respect. So, and they rip it all up and they go, you know, I don't want it, or you know what, I want an 11 and a half, not an 11. And then then you're sitting here with this nice shoe that's kind of like been tainted with already.
That's a good point. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that going
Yeah.
into it, but just
still,
seeing
the,
that-
the salesman could bring the shoe out, lace it for you,
And then give it
and then
to you.
hand it to you. Say, here, put this on. Like you don't have
Anytime-
to put it on like you're freaking Cinderella.
Any-
Like you know,
anytime
put the shoe
I-
on.
Anytime I've been to buy a shoe recently, I either put it
Yeah.
on myself because I got it off the shelf,
Yeah.
or somebody did what you said, they laced it up and gave it to me, which is
Yeah,
fair.
right. Yeah.
But the putting it on my shoe, it seems like a lost art, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like New Jersey pumping your gas for you. Like I can pump it.
That's
I
kind
got
of
it.
it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's kind of the thing.
I don't know if I ever told you this story, but the one time I was in New Jersey, and if you guys are listening to this and you're not familiar, you cannot pump your own gas in New Jersey. They have to pump it for you. And we live in Pennsylvania, and I remember helping my brother move the one time, and I was driving the U-Haul, and we went to Wawa, which is, you know, it's like a gas station convenience store in the Northeast here. And I remember driving the truck, and it was a new Wawa in New Jersey, like right on the border. And I parked the truck and I just get out and I just instinctively started pumping gas. You might even be with me at the
I
time.
don't
to be
remember
honest.
this. I don't remember this.
So
It
I
might not
just
have
get
been me.
out and I just started pumping the gas. And this young kid walks up to me who's like working the place, and I guess
Yeah.
pumping the gas. And I've been to New Jersey a million times, and I had my gas pumped for me.
Yeah, just
So
forgot.
I just my brain wasn't working. So I just started pumping the gas, and the guy walks up to me. He's like, "Can I help you, sir?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And I just like kept pumping, and he's like, "Okay." And he just like walks away, and he let me. I tell my dad after, and he's like, "What?"
That's a federal offense.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure you could get, like, I could have probably, I'm not going to arrest me or something, but
Yeah. Could have
It's
got
kind
it.
of a big deal.
Maybe 5 miles down the road, a cop pulls you over.
yeah, maybe
Because
they
they
could
call the
have fined
cops
me
on you or something and gives you a ticket or something.
But it's funny because, you know, a lot of people that, you know, maybe are from New Jersey, like they don't know how to pump gas 'cause they never had to. And it's funny to me, but they let me do it myself. I'd rather do it. It's faster. So anyway, I go on Wade. It's not a shoe salesman, not a pumping gas here. Sandy Bonatoni. I got
Sandy
nothing else to
Lyle.
say about this.
Sandy Lyle, yeah.
I mean, nothing really else to say, right?
Nah.
So the villains of the movie, other than like brutal robot murder, we got nothing to put on
Other
the
than
scale.
that, other
mean,
than Robocide.
Robicide, stealing the Vanderveer collection. I mean, these guys aren't even worth the villain scale, in my opinion.
It's a beautiful collection, though. The Van
It
Deer.
is. They're not even worth the villain scale, though. Do you agree? Like, I wouldn't even bother.
No. They're too bumbling, too foolish, too oafish. The one's not even a bad guy. He's just kind of scared for his life.
Yeah,
You know?
he's a
No.
robotics guy himself, I think.
Yeah. No. Yeah, he's the dig guy. And he got wrapped up in some muscle work.
I'll tell you what, though, that other guy, he took pleasure in beating down the robot. You could see it on his face.
Yeah.
He looked happy. He was enjoying the hell out of that.
Yeah. That guy's a maniac. We don't need to be near him.
What do you
But
think
no.
about Oscar?
You know, I don't know. He's an oaf. You know, he's an oaf, and he's just playing off of people's insecurities and weaknesses and naivete. And I hate his guts. And
That's
he's
it.
he's your classic like kids movie villain, fat guy, loudmouth, oaf. You know, that's kind of a typecast role.
the best thing that these guys did in the whole movie, you know, and I'll give them credit for this, is shove these guys in a freezer. How long could you survive in a freezer?
I feel like that's not. First of all, I think I would like it. First of all,
you would
call me
Yeah,
crazy.
it's cold.
You know, it'd be kind of cool to be in there because it's like manufactured cold. I don't like to go outside. Like right now, outside it's like 10 degrees, and I hate it.
Yeah,
But like, put me in a freezer like that's artificially cold.
it's like
and
cozy.
I kind of like because I love cranked air conditioning. So like, you know what, this isn't so bad, right? Second of all, I could last forever in there. I feel as long as there's air because. At a certain point, yeah, you get cold, you know, your limbs are cold, but like, couldn't you break a compressor or something like that's forcing it to be cold? I feel like there's something in that room that I could bust.
If he can wire up the wall to call and play songs through a calculator, I'm pretty sure he could have found a way to get out of there.
And what is this Chinese food place where they're not going in their freezer for days at a time?
It was the weekend, I guess, or he said.
Are they not working the weekend? Are they not working the weekend?
No, because usually places are usually. Restaurants, it's a thing, right? They're closed on Mondays. Like that's a thing, I guess.
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday.
Or Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
But this seemed like the weekend. Like, how are they not, and especially in the big city, they're not closing this place.
They're probably open to all night. Yeah.
I just looked this up. So I had to look up. So I Googled how cold is an industrial freezer? And it says for proper storage, the ideal temperature for commercial freezers should remain at negative 18 Celsius or 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So zero is pretty cold.
But it's like fake cold. I know I'm sounding dumb. I know it doesn't make sense, people. I know this, but I think it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fun for a day.
If you had a silk shirt and a brown leather jacket, would you have enough to keep yourself insulated?
Yes. No gloves. Totally fine.
I don't remember what Ben was wearing. He had like a t-shirt or something. Didn't
he had like a doctor's coat on. He had a lab coat. I don't know. I don't know why I was wearing that.
The best part of the whole movie, like obviously we talk about Megan. I mean, if you listen to the show, we try to make the cover of the show or the episode art like the most ridiculous picture. It's got to be gold Johnny 5, like jumping in the air. It has to be. But the close second, and I'll probably put this, you would have seen it after you're listening to this for the preview. It's got to be them in the freezer when they're completely covered in like ice, which is so funny to me. That's like one of the best scenes in the
brown
whole
leather
movie.
jacket is now white.
Maybe you could survive. I don't know.
I mean, it may not make sense, but like I feel like it's artificially cold. I can handle it, and then I'll break whatever, you know, compressor is making that thing cold. I'll find it and I'll break it, and then it'll be fine in there. Maybe it'll be too hot, and then it'll be uncomfortably hot. I don't know.
This is probably
but then the chicken goes bad, and then it'll stink. It'll stink in there.
Well, I like how he holds the chicken up like he's going to beat somebody with it. It's like a rubber chicken.
That thing was solid, man.
It's probably our longest episode of all time, but it's worth it, right? So,
okay.
It's okay. Before we get out of here, we have to talk about the robot beatdown. Robot Death Beatdown, as I put in the notes. It sounds like a metal song.
That's a Children of Bodom song, if I remember.
So they have like Bodom at Midnight, something like 20 some beatdown song.
Beatdown 24/7 or something like that.
Needle 24/7.
Yeah.
But
Bodom Beach Beatdown.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bodom at midnight. Silent Night, Bodom Night. Oh man. Anyway, it's a deep cut there.
We're losing it.
The robot beatdown. So obviously you heard this in the beginning of the show. Repairing this guy at Radio Shack, Michael McKean turns into some type of mechanical engineer.
Got to.
So if I gave you a manual, right now, Badway, give you a manual, you got to go repair, like, let's say my Xbox broke and it's all busted up.
Uh-huh.
And I tell you, here's a soldering gun. Go for it. Here, I'll type it on a computer what you need to do. Could you fix it?
Yeah. No, but let me go one step further. Let me put you in an operating room and give you a book on anatomy and say, go remove this guy's spleen or else he's going to die. Are you going to be able to do it in 15 minutes? Because that's kind of what he did.
I went from Xbox and you took it to, you hit the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Man, no. And that's the thing. Like, Michael McKean's never seen a soldering iron in his life.
Right.
Get the heck out of here.
Okay. So, we could go superhuman strength, right? You know how, like, they say, oh, dad's strength or mom's strength, or like if mom knows her kid's in danger, she can lift a car to like save her kid's life.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of thing where it's like, he's got 15 minutes to do this. His friend's going to die. I have to do this.
It could be.
He's like, his clutch rating in Johnny 5 2K is like 99. His clutch rating is up there. So he's going to be able to do it in the clutch, even though he doesn't have the normal skill for it. I think people can do things in the clutch that are beyond their capabilities.
That's true.
Like I always say, if you and I are you drive a manual shift car. And if you and I are in a car together and you have a heart attack in the middle of driving and I have to drive you to the hospital or else you're going to die, I have no idea how to drive stick. I think I'm going to figure it out and get you to the hospital. And then you'll be mad at me for ruining your transmission. But you'll be alive.
Dude, if you put me in that scenario where I got to repair this guy and like do robotic like engineering, like give me, I'd probably mess the thing up. I'd probably break him worse. I feel like I would crumble under the pressure. I don't have my clutch rating is 0. That's what my clutch rating is. It's going to be 0. Like I think I could drive your car, but I could not repair the most sophisticated electronics on the face of the planet. Like absolutely not. And honestly, good thing they didn't make this movie in modern times because he'd be dead. The Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. So what would they do? Like where would you go? You have to be like order parts on Amazon. He's gonna wait 2 days. Like where do you get all those things?
You gotta hope that there's an Amazon warehouse nearby because you have to drive to the warehouse.
Yeah,
that's where the parts are.
I mean that's the part. It's got to be.
Yeah.
And another talk about missed opportunities, right? Where the hell were the Los Locos in this? Oh, they were his brothers, man.
Yes. So the scene where he's getting beat down and then he kind of saves himself by getting the model airplanes to fly over and scare them away, which is kind of ridiculous, which is fine. But yeah, instead of that, they could have had the Los Locos see him getting beat up and say, hey man, that's our brother. Let's go get these. Who are these guys? Let's go get them. That would have been a great callback. I agree.
I think that they really missed the opportunity because, and it's been a long time since I've seen this, but as we were watching, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, they show up, right? Because I remembered him with the mohawk and the gear, and I kept thinking that they came back, and I was sort of misremembering how it went down. And I feel like it was anticlimactic to not have them in there. I wish they would have came and helped him out. Yeah. They really, really missed that opportunity.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, and an awesome callback. But yeah, good call.
I saw that they said that the scene of him getting smashed to pieces, I mean, really is like voted one of the saddest film scenes of all time.
It's brutal.
It reminds me of a cover of an album art that you recently brought up recently of a robot holding his heart out of his chest from a little known band called Silverstein, one of the best album arts of all time, the most emo picture I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. But that's what that reminds me of.
No, yeah, the blood spatter from when the guy hit him in the battery pack. That's like, oh man, give it an R rating, man. Oof.
That guy regretted his life in that moment. Yeah. The other guy did not. He hit harder. He hit harder.
He loved it.
I'm already freaking depressed from hearing that clip in the beginning. So I don't know. I don't think we can talk about the beatdown anymore. It's making me more sad. And I think we're also like 3 hours into our longest episode of all time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know, the longest episode of all time, and the people shut it off immediately because they didn't want to hear more of Johnny Five dying. And
if I look at the algorithm or the engagement on the episode, it's like immediately cuts off after 1 minute with the thing. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm glad we watched this. It's been a long time since I've seen it. We talked more in the beginning about the nostalgia, but I definitely enjoyed it. I think, you know, it was a fun movie. I'm curious to go back and watch the first one again. Yeah. I think I'm going to do that just because I want to see how different it is. I haven't seen that one in even longer, but this is the one that I've watched the most. But did you look at this differently? You mentioned it was a delight, but I don't know. How would you close your thoughts here for everybody?
Yeah. I love this movie. It was everything I thought it was. It didn't have that phony nostalgia. It was real love of this movie. This is a big movie of my childhood, and just like you, I'm probably gonna watch. Maybe I'll watch the next one tomorrow, the first one tomorrow, just because I haven't seen it in a while, and I want more Johnny Five. And please, someone make me a figure. Not a 13-inch figure. Make me a big figure, and I'll buy it. I'll pay you $80.
We're gonna have to start a Twitter hashtag campaign to Seth and Todd McFarlane over there, just to
they're brothers, right?
to make sure that they can write it. So, but yeah, no. If you guys haven't seen this movie in a long time, definitely check it out. If you've watched it, let us know what you think. Send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Tweet at us at thelastrowpod. Leave a comment on the Facebook page, the Instagram page. We're all out there on all the different social media channels. I'm curious if you guys enjoyed the movie as much as we did. And if you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podchaser. Really appreciate everyone that's taken the time to do that so far. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on Thursday, February 17th with another episode. We're getting inching closer to number 100, Badway. It's number 99 coming up.
We're never going to make it. It's not going to happen.
And on that note, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, back to the part that you mentioned about, the pleasure robot here.
Yes. Yes. I have questions. Do you have a specific question?
I mean, technically, he can move it at very fast speeds, right? Some would say he could vibrate himself.
Oh yeah. So, does he feel that?
I mean, what were Steve Gutenberg and Ali Sheedy doing back in in Montana?
Whoa! Blew my mind.
And is that illegal?
Was he there?
Also,
so are you saying he was there?
And he's a minor. I mean, come on.
He is a minor.
We've uncovered some deep stuff here at the end of the episode.
This is a different movie now.
Maybe we can't even go there. I feel guilty for even suggesting.
Let's stop.